Hi everyone, this is Aakanksha Naval-Shetye, and today on Filmfare Middle East we are in conversation with Michelin star chef Vikas Khanna. He is going to be telling us more about his upcoming book, Sacred Foods of India, which is all the more special because this is not only his 38th book, but this is also going to be the first time that he will be releasing it on a Phygital platform. What is a Phygital platform? Over to Vikas.
Thank you, Aakanksha.
Yet another feather in your cap, like they say.
No, this is
Sacred
the cap.
Foods.
This
is the cap. This is the cap. Now, as you can see, this totally looks like a collector's item. What makes it all the more special is that besides a physical copy, you launching it as an NFT.
Phygital copy.
It's called a Phygital copy, which is physical plus digital. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you, Aakanksha. It's my 38th book. और मेरे को दिल में अभी भी वही palpitations हो रही हैं. I have a fear. I also have anxiety. I also have a lot of happiness. That universe gives you these moments when you complete a project and then it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the world. And it's happened to me many times. But this book is very special because, like the way the idea was conceived of doing this kind of work, it's actually an extension of my documentary series, Holy Kitchens, where I talked about food and faith, and that how India is the only country in the world where institutions like Langar and Akshapatra and these soup kitchens, and there's so much of celebration of food which is cooked not just for physical sustenance but to bring community together. So for me, that's an important part of cooking. That's the reason that I'm in this position, that we need to highlight and celebrate those. And this book is an example.
Lovely. So, as you can see, it looks beautiful, and like I was talking to Chef earlier, that it belongs to the libraries of the Vatican as well. So, you already have a book there.
Utsav is there.
Yes, which is in the library.
Yeah, at the Buckingham Palace, at the White House. It was given to all the world leaders. But I feel that, because if you've seen my work, I've never done a series of something. I feel that a project should be self-sustained within itself, its identity. And I also understand, my journey starting from a small banquet running with my grandmom to this kind of space. I feel that there's a reason I'm here, and I have an obligation towards back home, and because I exist because of this continuity. Continuity is what creates culture.
True.
And I look at my friends who are like me, who've moved to the Western world. The kids, there's a little discontinuity of Indian culture. So for us to celebrate India to them and to express India and to show them, it's our job, it's our duty, it's our first job for us. And more than living the American dream, for us it's also telling our children what heritage they belong to. So you can see that I put the word heritage first. And then it's pilgrimage, and then it's holy kitchens. So I feel that how this will move as a pattern around the world will be that a lot of people, for them, India is a pilgrimage. They don't look at it as just another nation where they can go for tourism. India will evoke you, it'll inspire you to be something more. And I feel that, I hope this book becomes one of the channels to reach out to those artists.
Absolutely. So, you have not just put Indian cuisine on the global map, you have even presented the Indian culture, and you're pinning it down now with this kind of a collector's item, which can be accessed everywhere internationally and globally.
No pressure. No pressure. I do feel, organically I feel this, that a dish what you're eating today, it doesn't belong to you. Right? As a mom tells me that the dish you're making and serving and making those dollars, it actually doesn't belong to you, she said once to me. I don't know which side of the bed she woke up on, but she said that you are selling something which belongs to the whole heritage. That dish exists because continuously it was cooked for generations. It got modified, it got changed, it got adapted, but still the dish, the roots belong to certain generations. It's a reason that we are enjoying it from childhood to our generation, to our kids, to the next generation. So I feel that for me, a project has to represent that thread. You can pick up any of my work and you will see that it represents a very thread which brings the ancient culture to the modern world.
Right. So how did you go about, this one must have obviously needed a lot more research, and you have done your documentaries on this, but how different, or what was the main challenge when, coming up with a book like this, which kind of is also a huge responsibility then?
There's a disclaimer in the book which says that those recipes cannot be recreated. Let's be honest. If I'm having Kada Prasad in Golden Temple, there is no chef on the planet who can replicate it. There is no scientist who can replicate it. If you talk about science and food and arts,
yes.
Because that is cooked with certain emotions, that is cooked in certain space, certain time, certain prayers. Everything adds to the energy of the food. If you cannot forget it, that a grandmother used to tell me, once I was very angry and shouting in my banquets in Amritsar, and she says, if you're angry, leave the kitchen because you're putting all that anger in the food.
So food driven by emotions, like they do
it
carry,
is.
which is very true.
But these people it's between them and gods. How can we replicate something which is so sacred, So I say that, it's very difficult, but we also have to understand that, there are people who will not have access to these places, right?
True.
But we need to celebrate them. And the only way we could do it is to be inspired by that dish and to measure it in a way as a recipe which people can cook at home and still enjoy it. And it's a prasad in a way that, but prasad cannot be compared to the people who are cooking it in those temples or gurdwaras or
Absolutely.
churches or synagogues, or dargahs. It can't be replicated. So this has been one of the most challenging part of recreating those recipes. And most of these places I remember I went to Puri temple and they gave me access to the kitchen. And I'm like, there's no way I can cook this dish. And they're like, oh, you've been cooking for hundreds of years. I said, no, I've not been cooking for hundreds of years. But because things are not measured, it's very difficult to put in the book. So we will do some of the stuff, we'll come back, we'll cook in the kitchen and understand if we are similar to the taste. So you have to understand, Aakanksha, it's a very big challenge you've taken in this book, but with a disclaimer that no one in this world can replicate these recipes outside that space, because this is very sacred.
Right. Looking back at your own journey, it has been nothing less than, a kind of worship. Because, with the kind of books that you have written, you have been hosting shows, food-related shows, you have been, of course, such a celebrated chef. So your entire life in itself has been a worship of the entire culinary world. So
culture
how do
too.
you, and the culture. So how do you look back and, at the entire journey that you've had from Amritsar to New York to Dubai, and leaving your stamp everywhere in the world?
My sister used to tell me, do more. She used to always tell me, do more.
I think only Alaska must be out of abhi tak, na?
But she would always tell me, do more. She's saying that she saw me cooking in Laura's garden, cleaning floors and cooking in people's homes in America and cleaning and parking and doing everything to survive. And she said that you've been chosen in this position, do more. And when I'll say, I don't, sometimes, you are frustrated, there's so much on your plate, there's so much expectation also, right? Absolutely. I'm coming up with something. Yes. Right now, you're not hearing about the projects which are in the pipeline. Nobody heard about this for so many years. Nobody knows about the next movie coming out. So there's so much which goes on. She'll say, do more. Because you get voice for a very limited time in this world. Mm-hmm. But at that time, you should be able to tell the massive story where you come from, your heritage. Because now it's not just about you and your hometown or your last name. This is much bigger than that. You're talking about 1/3 of the planet. You have to stand there and say in the full purity and full vulnerability also, because you bear your soul when you're talking about these subjects.
Absolutely.
Cooking is easier in comparison to making people believe the heritage of where the country comes from. I still remember just a few years ago, I was talking on BBC and it was a national live telecast, and I knew this question was coming because he kept asking about, you come from a family, not enough, and now you have enough. You must have learned about hunger back in Amritsar because you come from poor family. I'm like, actually speaking truthfully, I never knew hunger in Amritsar because we have institutions everywhere. In India, there's something about the DNA that somebody will feed you.
Absolutely.
And we discredit that. And I said, I learned about hunger living in New York, where nobody sees you if you're poor. You're invisible. There's nothing which holds your hand like that. And I know there was a lot of trolling happening on either side of it, that, oh, you're discrediting that, India's in the hunger index. I said, imagine there are institutions like this
Who are feeding thousands and lakhs of devotees.
Imagine without them.
Absolutely.
And for us just to say there's hunger index and we are criticizing it, I said, but what about appreciating what people are doing?
And it's not looked upon as charity. It's looked upon as prayers. It's
as a duty.
As
a duty.
Absolutely.
This is not something which is tax deductible or something which in America we talk about.
Yes.
This is something which is between them and gods. So this book celebrates that. And if somebody keeps pasting my roots on my face, I said, with my roots also comes this beautiful heritage.
Absolutely. But tell me, what is the passion, the drive, from when you started till now? What is it that keeps you going?
I think, Mom, I feel that I'm going to speak for everyone as an NRI. Everyone who left home for a better life or a better career or better reasons to different countries, I feel that what was left behind was our childhood, our identity, and our aging parents. Every single time I wake up in America and you see something that there's a new award which you won or restaurant won or something, and I feel that that's a bargain I made. That's a bargain I made
to leave my paid.
Yeah, to leave my father and mother back. So everything I do, my mother has to feel that, okay, he's not my son, he's the son of the country, and this is what he's doing. And that keeps me going. I can't tell my mom, even for once in 22 years I left India. I never left India, but I feel that moved to New York. Not even once I told her, Mom, I got a plane, I got a car, I got a home. She's saying, what can I do about it? Right? You tell me something which you're doing for the country. Because whatever you are representing, you've taken it back and you were trained back from home. So you never see my international colleges I studied in. I keep mentioning my Indian college because I can't exist without them. And sometimes you'll have chefs who'll just mention the American college or the Western colleges they study from. I'm like, but you have to mention the university and colleges you studied from in India because they gave you the foundation. You cannot build this Taj Mahal without a strong foundation.
Absolutely. So, you have seen the food scene change across globe.
Absolutely.
What has been the biggest change that you have seen vis-a-vis India and international? Like, today, I think when you had started, India was just kind of being put out in the West and everything, but they had limited foods. Today, it's like there are no borders, everything is easily accessible, far more accessible today.
I think one big shift happened is that you have more Indian chefs who received Michelin stars. It was a total Caucasian game where the French chefs will appreciate or the French inspectors just understood the French cooking and they will just be awarding them. And I think in 2011, when I became one of the first person of color in America to win the star, it was a big shift which happened. A lot of questions came up from there. And a lot of criticism also I got is that, oh, now we have to listen to curry chefs. I'm like, fantastic. Now you don't have to listen to curry chefs. Now we're going to dominate this. and I don't say it to have a flag out. You have to have practical examples behind you.
Of course.
And the shift I feel now is that, more Indian chefs will be looking at Indian cuisine the way it is in India for inspiration. Not just this whole idea of let's do fusion, let's do that. We've done that, I understand that there were adaptability issues, survival issues for us, and we had to do our cuisine some ways. But now, Chef Chintan, who with Ronnie runs this unapologetic Indian. I am in love with this slogan. And Chintan used to work with me. And now, just recently, he won the best Indian chef in New York, James Beard.
Wow.
Never happened before. You're talking about you're competing with the big people who have always dominated this industry.
Yes.
And I do feel that, and I do feel that I took my lot of share of my criticism I took because of I was not wavering to do fusion or to do French. And people used to tell me, look at the way you look and look at the way, you are so presentable in a way that you talk about food, and that's a rare combination you have. You should be doing French cooking or American cooking. I said, but why not Indian? Oh, because you can't sell more than $8 or $6 Indian food. I'm like,
hold on.
Wait. So I still sold a meal for $38,000 for one person. And yeah, because we said that, okay, throw stones, but I'm going to use all those stones to make a castle. And I'm not going to stop this because you feel this way about my country and about me.
So you have actually spearheaded the entire revolution in a way.
A lot of us, but I was most vocal. There were a lot of people who were behind. I'm like, guys, let's hold it very tight. Remember one thing, after the volcano is the most fertile soil.
Absolutely.
So even if being abused, and I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago when people wrote such nasty things, they still do about Indian cooking and says that, oh, one food which I can't eat anywhere in the world is Indian cooking. I said, why? He's saying, oh no, we just heard bad things. I said, but you need to try. So, you're talking to somebody who has actually stood out of the restaurant with samples, and am I demeaning my cuisine by putting samples out like that? But we've gone through everything. And now I see that the glorification of when you get invited to the top, magazines for covers and for presenting your cuisine to the highest points in the world.
Absolutely.
But डरना नहीं, मैं ये बोलता हूँ, डरना नहीं. अगर घर छोड़ा ना, तो you have a responsibility, and at the same time, you also have to be stronger to sustain those. This would have never happened. I swear to you. I swear on anything, this would have never happened if I had given up midway and said, you know what, let's change the priorities of Indian culture and cuisine, let's make it money. I would have sold myself doing fast foods and doing stuff like that, which I had opportunities. Even now I have so much opportunities. I'm like, no, culture first.
Wow. Well, we will check that out very soon.
Yes.
But before that, I wanted to do a quick kind of a question. Like if you were to kind of introduce Indian cuisine to someone internationally, what would the, say, 5 things that you would recommend them to try? Because Indian cuisine has huge variety, including the sacred foods. Like if you were to say कि ये try करना है आपको, तो आप क्या चीजें बोलोगे?
मैं यही बोलूँगा कि go to any Indian restaurant. And now I feel the Indian restaurants are also changing a lot. Please understand that Indian food is not same in all the restaurants. If you're going to a restaurant which serves South Indian food or coastal cuisine, or Punjabi food is more widely available because they were the first people to put the cuisine out in Europe and Canada and America. And Australia, they are the first ones who went out and they started putting what they knew about chicken tikka masala and dal makhani and saag paneer and malai kofta and garlic naan and tandoori chicken, chicken tikka, samosa, kachori, papri chaat. So I've already told you the whole menu. So I feel that go and try something and ask them that what is their specialty when you go to a restaurant. Please, because I feel that regional Indian cuisine is taking over the chefs, which is amazing. People are investing more money on us to bring out the regional cooking than the templated menus. So go to Indian restaurant and ask for something. And I still feel that the dosa I had in Udupi had changed my life. So because I asked the guy what's the best thing, he's saying, oh, we invented dosa. And that I feel that go to a restaurant and check it out.
And what are your favorite foods?
I eat very disciplined cooking because I taste so much. For me, it has always been one bowl cooking. Because remember that at home I cook for my meals without any oils or anything. So I'm a guy who put all the multigrains and dals and vegetables together and make a khichdi.
So that's the secret why you don't look like, you look at least 20 years younger to what your real age is.
Not taking mental stress, which doesn't happen. We are humans. But trying to have work stress, which is great, then you accomplish things.
Right. But are you aware that, when you step into a hotel or you're going out for meals, that the people around might be a little nervous about how their foods might be judged? Or do you not go with that frame of mind at all?
There's enough people judging them. I shouldn't be the one. I should be the one who's saying that, he's our senior. And if you see in my social media also, any chef which achieves a milestone anywhere in the world, I feel this is a milestone, I'll be the first person. And many chefs who are very recognized in India, they'll say, but why are you promoting them? I said, oh my God, we will only rise when we pull each other up.
Wow.
And are you insecure? I said, you know, I did that 20 years ago. Why am I like, you know, if Shivana Azmi is winning an Oscar and she's tweeting about somebody who's done great work in a movie, it elevates Shivana Azmi too.
Absolutely. So, but that is large-hearted of you because, you know.
That's how the community grows. That's how you build a massive tribe and say, look at how united they are. Or the French chefs too. They don't let anyone come in front of you because they're so united, integrated into the system. And what is happening to us now? Less insecurities.
Right. One thing I wanted to ask you also about is your connection to Dubai. We have Kinara here.
Yes.
And so tell us, what about the Dubai food scene? It's supposed to be the most happening internationally.
You know, Dubai becomes the center of the modern world, Rome, because I had Junoon here almost 10 years ago, and that time we were still struggling for ingredients. You know, you understand the position of this geographically, but now you have the finest ingredients. Then I'm going to compare it to France and Tokyo because I feel they are the highest. It's finer than France and Tokyo. When we talk about Paris as ingredients, the sources, the everything, the availability, this is something what Paris and Tokyo did in the last decades, is what this platform between East and West is the platform for every chef's dream now.
Absolutely. So, melting pot for everything.
I just love the energy of the city. It's like so resilient and it's always thinking about moving forward. I love that. And how they dealt with pandemic was like
amazing. Yes.
Very,
very true.
For every Western city, this was an example how they dealt with everything and how they took care of the people and how the trade of ingredients is happening in Dubai right now. It's a showcase market.
Absolutely. Now coming back to the book, tell me more about, you know, you've been a visionary when it comes to food, and now with, you know, you releasing it in the NFT form.
So this book was a dream project, and almost 2014 we started collecting recipes and locations and shortlisting, and then
2014.
Yeah, 8 years ago, this first book, the draft went to publishers, and Vedic Cosmos is the publisher of the book. And then they say, you know, that you keep walking and people will keep joining you. We kept walking with this faith that one day we're going to have a Magnum Opus of this kind of heritage, where people will keep it in their dining rooms as a collectible item to show the kids and the guests. And that's how the tribe grows, right? And then Akshaya came and they changed the entire concept of this book to make it into digital, Phygital, metaverse, things I did not know that time, but also understanding that we have to find new ways to communicate to much broader audience. And when they came forward and they said, you know, this is the content to celebrate India at 75 and we want to take it global. And I saw what they were doing, and every time they show me a clip, I said, how did you guys even achieve that? The book is 3D and it moves and it opens, and oh my God, who is doing? And this is the team doing it, and I've met the people, and it's driven me crazy with the diligence and the love to present India to the world.
Amazing. So congratulations, because I think you're already doing a fantastic job, and with this one you have just outdone everything that you have done earlier.
I think we can't outdo what I did for Feed India, but I do feel that this is a new form of art.
Absolutely.
This is a new form of appreciating and looking back and honoring those people who've been cooking in those kitchens for centuries, generation after generation.
But this has not been less than a tapasya for you also, like so many years putting into the hard work,
and not doing a small book,
passion, everything.
The concept had to be worshipped.
It's huge, it's epic. Like you said, it's a magnum opus, and can't wait to see it. But congratulations for the book. But thank you so much,
my pleasure.
Chef.
Thank you.
Lovely talking to you.
Likewise.
What an honor.